Our country requires extraordinary leadership and courage to plot a way forward. We must act with speed to safeguard national unity, peace, stability, inclusive economic growth, non-racialism, and non-sexism. We will ensure the continuation of a progressive agenda of social and economic transformation in our country. We have therefore agreed that we will invite political parties to form a government of national unity as the best option to move our country forward. The modalities of the government of national unity will take into account the conditions prevailing at this moment in our country's history. The purpose of the government of national unity must be first and foremost be to tackle the pressing issues that South Africans want to be addressed. These issues include job creation and the growth of our economy that will be inclusive, the high cost of living, service delivery, crime, and corruption.
That was President Cyril Ramaphosa speaking in his capacity as the president of the ANC as they're embarking on what they call a government of national unity. This is after failing to get outright majority in the elections and basically saying all political parties, everyone, that is, aligned with our thoughts and policies and our ideologies, we want to bring you to the table. And this looks like it's going to be something which is going to be reflective of 1994 when democracy dawned on South Africa and we had a government of national unity comprising of different political parties with different ideology, but coming together and coming to build the country and plate a way forward for the future. 30 years down the line, it looks like we're going to be having the same dispensation. The problem with that is there's a lot of varying issues right now. South Africa is involved with so much, not only here at home, but also internationally. For instance, the issue of Palestine is one that South Africa has been in the forefront of and trying to get some justice for the people of Palestine. We've presented that case in the ICJ and South Africa is leading in that regard. And there's a lot of political parties that have came forward and said, well, if we are in power or if we get some sort of influence in the National Assembly, which now the African National Congress has lost outright majority of, well, guess what? We're going to make sure that that case is no longer continuing. We'll bring back our judges and lawyers and everyone involved to come back, and we won't get involved in that. Now, that's going to be a big concern, and that's why we're speaking to various organizations, Palestine solidarity organizations, and joining us right now. Previously, we've had Ali Komape from Africa for Palestine, but joining us right now is activist and member of the Socialist Youth Movement, Mahfouz Raffee. Mahfouz, Jazakallah so much for joining us, and welcome to Salam Media. Really, really interesting times. As a Palestine solidarity organization, is there concern from your end that the ANC, which was very passionate about the issue of Palestine, which is as a government, influenced the fact that there's an ongoing case right now at the ICJ, all eyes on Israel, and them being exposed for their atrocities and the ongoing genocide perpetuated against the people of Gaza, and that's on the spotlight. But we know here at home there are political parties that are saying, why are we getting involved? We shouldn't be there. And those political parties now might make up a government of national unity, and ultimately, with the ANC no longer having a majority in parliament, put out a vote in the National Assembly and say, we're going to vote, should we continue with the ICJ? Is it profitable for South Africa? And, basically, we might find ourselves in a situation where, that court case and the ongoing activism that South Africa has put forward for Palestine and against Israel is no longer of existence. Welcome to Salam Media. Thank you for joining us. Your thoughts?
Greetings, assalamu alaikum, and salam to your listeners. I think you've really captured the situation in a lot of ways that drawn out the context. What we have at the moment is
Unyaka
ANC opening up for a government of national unity. And really, they've said yesterday that it's anybody's game. We'll speak to any political party, even if we have, in some instances, conflicting ideology. As long as there's a commitment to certain basic principles, we can work together. And these principles were, fairly vacuous, I think, or they can be interpreted by very different people in very different ways. So the commitment, for example, to peace, it should be paramount. As activists, as members of civil society, and as supporters of human rights, we know that the genocide in Gaza and the ongoing occupation and dispossession of Palestinian lands is integrally linked to struggles for peace all around the world, including here in South Africa, especially there, and especially given the devastating news that we're hearing each and every day. And so what this possible government of national unity does is jeopardizes any progress that we are trying to make towards establishing peace. The ANC-led government under Dr. Naledi Pandor and Justice Ronald Lamola and the team of excellent lawyers who were able to lodge a very convincing case against Israel for the crime of genocide at the ICJ. And that is one thing that needs to be protected. But maybe we should also take stock of how the ANC behaves in general with regards to Palestine, but also on socioeconomic issues and social issues here at home. We know that they are very vulnerable to betray its own people for economic gain. And that's not just corruption, that's also trying to appease the markets. And now they are in a situation where they have less power and may feel that the South African state as well has less power and may then need to appease markets. And in various ways, they could do this. We take encouragement that at the beginning of his address, Ramaphosa mentioned the genocide in Gaza and called for it to end. What we sincerely hope, but what we are asking at the moment in this government of national unity that is really up in the air and where talks might continue for ages to come, is that Palestine does remain central and does remain on the policy agenda for justice, not just in the ICJ. I think there are other demands that social movements have been putting forward, and that this also gets risks being delayed now in a government of national unity. It may be delayed explicitly, where some parties, for example, the Patriotic Alliance or even the DA, might say, "Okay, we'll only work with you if you do this," but I withdraw from the case, for example. But I don't think that will be the case. I think what is more likely to happen in this messy period going ahead, I don't foresee a government of national unity being very cohesive and clear from the get-go. I think that the issue of the ICJ may be used to gerrymander other processes and just be a bargaining chip in many ways, and that will frustrate government and it will frustrate society in lots of ways. And another concern is as we want to advance the struggle beyond the ICJ, we want to expropriate Zionist companies, for example. We want to push forward with sanctions and other BDS demands. This is much less likely to have with the ANC in a position of weakness, unless, of course, it was emboldened in a government together with other strong forces in support of justice in Palestine in particular. So forces like the EFF, for example.
And you touched a bit on Minister Naledi Pandor and just how integral her role was in South Africa, raising his hand up and fighting for the people of Palestine and raising awareness the world over. There are chances that she might not come back to Parliament. There are chances that she might not go back to her department, DERCO. Firstly, if we can just reflect on her legacy, from a solidarity organization's point of view. And secondly, is there anyone who could potentially, fill, her spot, her big proverbial shoes, and continue with that? Is there anyone else that you guys have been eyeing? Are there potentials, probably, or is right now just hoping and seeing that, whoever comes in as the Minister of Foreign Affairs holds the same strong stance as Dr. Naledi Pandor did?
Yes, indeed. No, I think South Africans are around the country, and indeed people around the world have taken great inspiration from Minister Naledi Pandor. On the world stage, she has gotten up and publicly declared that Israel is an apartheid state. Israel is guilty of committing genocide, and that moral stance has been, especially coming from South Africa with our own history, has been very inspirational. What I do think, going forward, yes, the positions of the ministers will be very, very central to South Africa's future solidarity efforts. What we would hope is also for some stability in the office of the Director General and in other bureaucrats who have been doing the work behind the scenes, to ensure that diplomatic ties and the diplomatic processes through international courts are followed correctly and in support of Palestinian liberation. That is key. What I also need to stress is that it is not just the Department of International Relations and Foreign Affairs that we should be worried about. Indeed, we haven't had strong ministers in other departments taking such powerful moral stances as Dr. Naledi Pandor, and these are something that we need. So things like the Department of Trade and Industry, places, even Department of Finance, Arts and Culture, Sports. These ministries that could be instituting boycotts, divestment, sanctions. They could be giving material support, aid to the Palestinian people, and we really need to hope that these are held by progressive leaders, progressive parties, and people who will go beyond just rhetoric and move towards action. Unfortunately, given the balance of forces at the moment, given the type of parties who are represented in our electoral system, and given the lack of organization amongst many of civil society, left movements, people with progressive values, things hang in a precarious balance, and it is only up to us to speak up, speak loudly, and make sure that we can do whatever we can to protect the gains that have been made and to advance them further in pursuit of justice, dignity, and peace, freedom for not just people in Palestine, but people all over the world, including here in South Africa.
Definitely. I think we're going to leave it on that note. Activist and member of Socialist Youth Movement, Mahfouz Raffee, thank you so much for giving us your time. And I will definitely be keeping a close eye on the coalition talks and ultimately who makes it to the National Assembly when all is said and done. Really appreciate you giving us your time.
Appreciate you having me here. Thank you.
There you have it there. This was activist and member of the Socialist Youth Movement, Mahfouz Raffee. We're speaking to various, organizations, Palestine solidarity organizations, on their thoughts regarding this establishment of the government of national unity, and ultimately, what does it mean for Palestine, with South Africa being the front runners when it comes to, fighting, for the people of Palestine, and echoing the words of Nelson Mandela, South Africans not being free until the people of Palestine are not free. And this is going to be very, very challenging, as we're going to be having a new dispensation, and it'll be interesting to see how all of this is going to look. We're continuing with the theme. The last organization that we'll be speaking with is PSA. Palestine Solidarity Alliance, and we'll be speaking to Nazim Adam, who's going to be giving us their thoughts on what they think of the president's announcement on the fact that the African National Congress is looking to have a government of national unity, which is going to encompass of a lot of political parties who have who hold different ideologies, particularly with the focus being on Palestine. Nazim Adam will be joining us right after this.